Morning Edition, the fight continues this morning in Washington as the Senate passes the funding resolution, but now it heads back to the House, where Democrats vow to fight it again. We have the latest from the Capitol. Plus, happy Veterans Day. We'll take a look back at the history of the holiday and what events are taking place around Alaska today. And later, an 8-year-old boy driven to help turns a red box library into a little pantry, helping out in this time of need in his community. We'll take a deeper dive into how he's making a difference as the Morning Edition starts now. Good Tuesday morning, everyone. Thanks for waking up with us today. Good for him. I love stories like that.
Yeah, it's like kindness, pay it forward. You never know when you may need it sometime in your life.
Absolutely, or when your neighbor may need it.
Well, we are waking up this morning to some colder conditions across South Central. We are seeing some of those clearer skies across the region. This is allowing temperatures this morning to bottom out in the single digits and teens across South Central. Now, we're currently sitting at 12 degrees here in Anchorage. Winds are remaining calm, so we aren't seeing much in the way of a wind chill across the region. And we are sitting up under those clearer skies across a good portion of South Central. We may see a few high-level clouds, but overall, today will likely be the sunniest day that we will see this week across South Central. We do have a few locations sitting near or approaching those sub-zero values. Talkeetna, 0 degrees. As you head out towards the Copper River Basin, Golcana coming in at 6 below, and then you got single digits to teens as you head from southern parts of the valley through Anchorage as well as parts of the Kenai. But as you head towards the coast, those temperatures are noticeably warmer. Still chilly, though, with the warmest location, Valdez, coming in at 32 degrees this morning. So not much going on. We have no cloud coverage for the most part outside of some high-level clouds as you head out towards eastern parts of Prince William Sound. That comes from that system that continues to lead to some rain out towards southeast. So what we are seeing take place this morning across South Central, we've got those clear skies, we've got those calmer winds, and with a lack of cloud coverage, this is allowing any heat that we did see accumulate at the surface yesterday to escape back into the atmosphere. This is what we call radiational cooling, and that is leading to those temperatures dropping. So think of the cloud coverage like a blanket or just a sheet that's covering your bed as you lay up under it. This prevents that heat from escaping back into the atmosphere, but you remove that blanket where you're going to be talking about some colder weather. And that's what we are seeing this morning. For that bus stop forecast, 15 degrees to start off this morning with temperatures today warming into the low to mid-20s. We will see a slow warming trend into next week. I'll have more on that and that cold weather across the state coming up.
The Senate passed the resolution to end the government shutdown. However, that doesn't mean it's over just like that. The resolution must now pass the House before going to the president to be signed. The deal that some Democrats crossed the line to make with Republicans does not include an extension of the Affordable Care tax credits, which had been their key demand, only the promise of a vote in December. One solution being presented by the president is to get the money that goes into the subsidies into the hands of everyday Americans, which Alaska Senator Dan Sullivan says he supports.
Let's look at not sending hundreds of billions of dollars to the insurance companies to keep them rich. Let's get that money directly to Alaskans, to Americans.
Senator Lisa Murkowski joined our Political Pipeline podcast and spoke about a similar suggestion that's been floated around the Senate chamber.
Much of the discussion that is going on in the past, literally like 48 hours has been, can you take the amount of the premium subsidy and deliver it not to the insurance company, but deliver it directly to the individual by way of a benefit card.
Speaker of the House Mike Johnson has called the House back into session with a vote expected on the bill as early as Wednesday. Alaska Representative Nick Begich was unavailable for comment as he was traveling back to Washington. Now, the bill's path through the House, however, is not going to go as smoothly as one might anticipate. The Democrats in the House are pledging to fight the bill, and the Republicans can only afford to lose 2 votes, with all Democrats opposing.
I got a built consensus among the members, and that is what we will do.
We're going to fight hard to defeat it.
Senate leadership did agree to a vote before the subsidies expire for the Affordable Care Act at the end of the year, which would send those premium costs soaring upwards. While some argue that Democrats were winning the messaging fight on health care, Republicans are stating that they also want a health care fix.
I think it was a terrible, terrible vote at a time when we have a broken healthcare system.
We crystallized the fight about healthcare for the American people and made it clear who's holding that up. It's President Donald Trump, it's Speaker Johnson, and it's the Republicans.
We saw that the polling was going our way, and we could have, in my opinion, continued talking about that and potentially had a better outcome.
We want a healthcare system where we pay the money to the people instead of the insurance companies.
President Trump said he would abide by the terms of the funding deal, which includes guaranteed back pay for federal workers and rehiring those who were laid off during the shutdown, as well as fully funding urgently needed SNAP food assistance through next fall, though there will be a lag in getting the system back on track. Back home in Alaska, we have an update on the shooting death that took place over the weekend at the Fox Hollow Golf Dome, plus a break-in at a jewelry store in Anchorage. Delmi Ruiz joins us now from the newsroom with the latest on these stories. Delmi.
Kristen, we're learning about what police say led to a deadly shooting after soccer practice Saturday morning in the parking lot of the Fox Hollow Golf Dome. According to charging documents, there were multiple young children there. Investigators say 36-year-old Luke Simonson shot and killed 45-year-old Timothy Grodidier after an argument. Police say it started when Grodidier's wife accused the other man of almost hitting their child with his truck. Charging documents say Simonson felt threatened, got out of his vehicle with a gun and opened fire. Despite life-saving efforts, he died at the scene. Dashcam video allegedly shows Simonson getting out and firing without warning. He faces 2 murder charges and 1 count of assault. He's scheduled to appear in court Thursday. Anchorage police are trying to figure out who broke into David's Jewelers in Anchorage's Ticonderoga area. Police state they believe it happened about 3 a.m. Monday morning. We spoke with the store manager who said things could have been worse.
We keep our store pretty secured. We've got vaults, so no client merchandise were touched, no repairs, no custom projects. They're all secured. But very minimal pieces were left out, are of a lower dollar value.
The criminal was caught on surveillance but covered most of their face. Kristen.
All right, thanks to Delmi. $1 million to improve water meters in Fairbanks. That's what the borough mayor is proposing in an ordinance for the assembly. The mayor says a local utility company couldn't legally provide water to some areas this summer due to non-compliance with state regulations. That left local parks with dying lawns and young athletes playing in rock-hard dirt, he said. The proposal would improve 13 water meters, while 6 others would be closed either because they're not needed or can be served by other means.
Every year, we take one of our nearly 24 small parks and reinvest in it. So it becomes a really wonderful part of a neighborhood for everybody across the borough to use. And as we look at where we're going to do next year and the year after, if we don't have water, we don't have a full opportunity to install good restrooms.
The assembly is scheduled to hear the ordinance at their Thursday meeting. Our investigative team continues to explore Alaska's immigration policy. Chena Hot Springs in Fairbanks is now run by an unlikely group of staffers, 17 Ukrainians who fled the Russian invasion. They've built new lives here, but those lives are now threatened by delays in extending their U.S. status and what it could take for them to stay. From the gift shop to growing Chena's famous fresh produce to carving martini glasses out of ice blocks, Chena's Ukrainian workers have a hand in all of it. Chena Hot Springs proprietor Bernie Carl says sponsoring Ukrainians under the United for Ukraine program that launched in 2022 meant taking full responsibility for people fleeing war to come work in the United States.
That they would have a place to stay, we would feed them, they would get paid, they would have a job, and then have a path to the future. And the path to the future is getting a green card here in America. My fear is that their time is going to be up and they'll become a casualty of our federal government.
Carl is working with local immigration groups to ask that more than 930 Ukrainians currently in Alaska under the terms of the United for Ukraine program be issued green cards in order to stay and work. If they have to leave, Carl says the next visit might look very different. He's now hoping Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem makes an exception for Ukrainians in Alaska. Carl expects all of his staff to have expired temporary parole status by the end of this year, although some applications are for reparole are being approved. We reached out to Alaska's congressional delegation and the governor's office for comment, and will continue following this story. Meantime, still ahead on the Morning Edition, it's Veterans Day, but how exactly did Veterans Day come to be? We'll take a look back at the history of the holiday and how you can celebrate after this.
Still holding on to some colder weather across the state. I'll have more on what that means through this week. First at sunrise, 8:56 in Anchorage, 7:37 in Juneau. Your full forecast is next.
Welcome back in on this Tuesday morning, and there is a chill in the air, Aaron. Those temperatures just getting colder and colder.
Yeah, we are waking up. Single-digit lows, some teens across South Central. Even as you head into the interior, we're talking about some sub-zero values, double-digit sub-zero values as you head into the interior. As we've got a chill for mainland Alaska. While most of mainland Alaska is holding on to those colder conditions, we'll also see southeast tapping into that colder weather later this week. And then as we welcome in next week, we will see slow warming taking hold across the state. But of course, a large portion of this week will continue to favor those colder conditions. Take a look at wind chills this morning. Feels like 25 degrees in Nome, 2 below in Kotzebue, 10 below in Fairbanks. You can see some of the coldest conditions are through the interior out towards the slope. And that's also extending into parts of the Copper River Basin this morning, where we're waking up to temperatures sitting below zero as well. So still holding on to those colder conditions across the state. Not much to talk about in terms of what's going on across Alaska when it comes to the lack of those stormier conditions. Now, we do have an area of low pressure that's still lingering out towards Norton Sound, as well as the Yukon Delta. That's keeping some light snow in the forecast that will kind of fizzle out throughout the day. And of course, that area of low pressure that's out towards Yakutat and approaching areas of the northern panhandle. That's also keeping some rain showers in the forecast with some of those higher elevations of the Haines and Klondike Highway holding on to some of that snowfall. Now, beyond Wednesday, we'll actually tap into those colder conditions for southeast. Our jet stream stays well to our south. That's keeping that colder air locked in place across a good portion of the state. Now, notice we have somewhat of a ridge that's beginning to build into parts of the Aleutians. Later this week, we're actually going to see parts of southwest Alaska beginning to warm once again as we see an approaching storm system, which will actually bring additional rounds of some snowfall as we welcome in the coming days. But looking ahead through the rest of this week, largely holding on to cold conditions across a good portion of the state. You can see parts of southwest Alaska and through the Alaska Peninsula. We'll begin to see a touch of warmer air later this week, and that comes with that increasing storm chance. Not going to bring some gusty winds, but it will lead to some increasing snow showers as we welcome in the coming days. Ongoing rain continues for areas of southeast. Quiet weather here across South Central. In fact, we'll continue to favor some sunshine. Today will actually be the nicest day when it comes to some sunshine as we welcome in tomorrow. Of course, we'll start off with some sunnier weather, but clouds will increase into the evening, and you can see some isolated to scattered activity, which will grip southern parts of South Central as well as out towards Kodiak, where we could see some localized areas of wintry mix. So fairly quiet across South Central the next couple of days. You can see sunshine sticking around. Temperatures this afternoon will warm into the upper teens and the lower 20s. Of course, warmer conditions to be expected as you head out towards coastal areas. That's where we'll see the potential for highs to break freezing, but still fairly chilly. If you live out towards Seward, Valdez, those gap winds will increase throughout the day. So even though temperatures will warm near 30 or near freezing, we are going to see some bitter wind chills. Temperatures stay in the 20s for the foreseeable future. A chance for flurries this weekend.
Well, it is Veterans Day today, a day to remember, reflect, honor, and thank our U.S. Armed Forces veterans, all of backgrounds and from every branch of service. The municipality of Anchorage will host a ceremony starting at 10. It'll be at the 11th Air Force Americans Home from Siberia Memorial on Remembrance Circle at the Merrill Field Airport. Guests include Verdi Bowen, director of the Alaska State Office of Veterans Affairs, and Anchorage Mayor Suzanne LaFrance. It'll be outside, so dress warm. There are also events happening in the Mat-Su. There will be a ceremony in Wasilla at the Veterans Wall of Honor at 11 a.m. today. There are also several happening in the interior, including a flag retirement ceremony at the Alaska Rangers Camp in Fairbanks at 5 p.m. and many, many more across Alaska. Go ahead and visit our website for all of those details. So how did Veterans Day come to be a federal holiday? Well, Veterans Day began as Armistice Day back in 1919 to celebrate the end of World War I on November 11th. Fighting ceased between the Allied nations and Germany on the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month in 1918. A year later, President Woodrow Wilson declared the 11th of November as Armistice Day. Fast forward to 1926 when Congress passed a resolution for an annual observance, and in 1938 it officially became a legal holiday to honor the veterans of World War I. After World War II and the Korean War, however, a push began to expand the holiday to honor all veterans. In 1954, Congress replaced Armistice Day with Veterans in the name of the holiday, and the Veterans Day we have today was born. From all of us here at Alaska's News Source, we extend our gratitude and heartfelt thank yous to all veterans.
Thanks for listening to our podcast. Click subscribe so you can get the latest podcasts from Alaska's News Source automatically and stay up to date with breaking news and in-depth reporting available for free 24/7 with the Alaska's News Source app.